go. Let's see. What's going on, everybody? Let me go ahead and get this posted. You already know how the first couple minutes of the live go. For those of y'all tuning in after the live, just watching it as a video on YouTube, you already know how it goes to start it off. Gotta get it posted real quick on my Face ID. Alright. Alright, here we go. I'm going to keep this live tonight, not too long. I know we just finished up with the Super Bowl and whatnot. So we're just going to go over some quick chart analysis and stuff. Let me get everything set up. I almost wasn't going to go live today, but I felt like I wanted to go live, felt led to go live, and I felt like I didn't want to lose my consistency. Because then I don't go live this week. I might not want to go live next week. I might come up with some reason next week not to go live. And I don't want to start, on bad things. So I understand that the Super Bowl is going on today. And there may be a lot of people that's out watching the Super Bowl and doing that sort of stuff, which isn't a bad thing to do, But I also do plan on, posting this afterwards. So the video lives on longer than me. So to me, it don't really matter who's watching it in the actual moment. If you are to pull up actual time, real time, you already know. Comment so I know you in here. Like, subscribe, tell a friend about the goodness of the Lord, and invest it, because that is what we here to talk about today. Okay? Yes, sir. We in here. Man. What's going on? How about that game, man? It looked like it was a defensive battle to the fourth, which, pretty good game, I suppose. But here we are. Now, you see, I got my Jets on, man. My Jets ain't gonna probably ever be in the Super Bowl in my lifetime, but I'm still gonna rep my team. It was kind of boring, man. I'm gonna still rep my team to the fullest, you know what I mean? It don't matter to me. I don't really care. I know the Jets is cheeks. So I'm gonna keep supporting my team through thick and thin. You know what I mean? I gotta be there for the squad. So, but yeah, it seemed like same here. Yeah, I'll be Raiders. Yeah, I mean, it did seem pretty boring. It just felt like super defensive. I mean, I feel like you wouldn't really too much enjoy the game unless you were watching it from a Patriots fan point of view or a Seahawks fan point of view. And since the Seahawks won, from the Seahawks point of view for sure, Patriots fans is probably thinking it was more boring and very upset. So now it's just, will Drake May ever go back, or will he never see the Super Bowl again? And same thing with Sam Darnold. But it don't matter for Sam Darnold because he won. So shout out to him. Came from the Jets, so somehow we are able to make some shake. So shout out to them, man. Shout out to them boys. But this live today, I'm going to really be talking about the mindset of the markets heading into this week. I'm going to do some chart work too, like some quick chart work, because as you see, I got SPY up right now. SPY is what I like to day trade throughout the week, Monday through Friday. What up, Dogani? SPY is what I like to day trade Monday through Friday throughout the week. So I'm going to go over a lot of SPY real quick, just looking at these charts. I'm going to go over the crypto market and how we know it's down right now, and why it creates why it creates the perfect opportunity to buy, because it's so dirt cheap. Like last week, Bitcoin was down to 60,000. It kind of made up some gain to close the week. Actually, let's go to Bitcoin real quick. It made some gain to close the week at 70K. So as we know, Bitcoin is, we know what Bitcoin is gonna do. We know what Bitcoin is capable of. But you see, it came down to this low. I'm on the daily chart. It came down to the lowest of the lows right here, $59,900 before Buyer stepped in, bringing price back up. And now we're sitting here trading at 70,000. Buyers, sellers trying to break out this range, or we could potentially come down to 50K, 40K, which is all good because we know long term, we have long term conviction over Bitcoin and we know what it is. So as long as Bitcoin's in this range, it's the perfect time to buy. Along with the stock I was talking about, MicroStrategy. Let's go ahead and look at MicroStrategy that I've been stressing on in the stock market to buy. If you want to buy Bitcoin, this might actually work for you again. If you want to buy Bitcoin in the stock market without having to go into the crypto market and purchase Bitcoin itself, you could also purchase this stock called MicroStrategy, MSTR. They're a cloud data company, but they're also a Bitcoin reserve. So they hold the most Bitcoin in the world from a public company. They hold 700,000 tokens. That's billions and billions of dollars, okay? And they're buying more, buying more. So this is a way for us to invest into a stock that is also moving at the same pace as Bitcoin. And I originally started buying up here at like 160 around this time, and then it started just keep going down, and I didn't care. I kept buying. My portfolio was down. It ended up coming down here to this 110 range, 100, 110, and you see I had my box already mapped out perfectly, so I knew where it was coming. So I bought right there, and then this was one day. It came all the way down. The next day ran all the way back up. So it came from 104 to 134 from Thursday to Friday, and that made plenty of money in between. And as we know, this is a stock right here. It moves just like Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin's down, this is down. When Bitcoin's up, this goes up. This is a 500. This was a, okay, let me get my prices on here a little bit better. This was once a $540 stock, okay, and is now down to $100. So we see the upside to it. I knew it was coming down to that range, so I decided to buy the dip as always. And then it ran up literally the next day. I didn't expect it to go crazy that day, but Bitcoin went back from 60K to 70K. So MicroStrategy stock went from $100 to $130, okay? And I've already said, to me, this stock is going to be $1,000 stock, because we know Bitcoin is going to be going to $1 million one day based off of conviction and based off of, you know, the crypto market developing as a whole and what that's going to turn into. So we know this is going to turn into $1,000 stock because it moves like Bitcoin. It moves even faster than Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy was one of those stocks that performed from Thursday to Friday. It came down to $104, ran up to $134, and I bought a lot of shares, and I continue to buy shares every single day that I make profit day trading, instead of me going to go try to take my money out and go buy shoes or go buy whatever I would want to buy, because I do like, you know, splurging on myself as well. But instead of doing that, I'm buying more assets. And this is my favorite asset because it's in line with Bitcoin. It's such a low price. It's coming from $500 and it's down on sale, a $400 discount. And I believe it's going to go to $1,000. What do you day trade? Perfect timing. What up, Shaq? Perfect timing you come in here because I'm about to actually go onto my chart work right now of what I day trade. So I day trade SPY. SPY is an ETF of the S&P 500. So I don't do Forex. I don't do futures or anything like that. And I'm not shaming none of those because I do want to get into some longs for crypto. Okay, so that's technically foreign exchange. So I do want to get into some longs for Bitcoin, not just crypto. But I trade option contracts on SPY on a daily. And I'm actually about to start diving into setting up the chart for the week so that we could kind of look and understand the charts, because all the charts seems like such a scary thing, and I've been there. It was scaring me too. I didn't understand how to read none of this. So I'm on a monthly chart. Let me go back to daily. I didn't understand how to read none of this. I didn't understand what was truly going on here. But all of this is just showing us where people are buying and where sellers are selling. Okay, so when we just keep that simple in mind, like right here, price came all the way down here, and you see this green candle that ran up. This is where buyers stepped in, and guess what happened from this candle? When buyers stepped in from this candle, we were in an uptrend all the way through, okay? And then just recently, a couple days ago, we broke below that. So it's like, where are buyers stepping in, okay? So now I can make the same adjustment that, okay, we came down to here, buyers stepped in. Could we potentially ride this up again, or will we break back down? Okay, so now we're looking at the same thing for where people are selling at. Where are people selling? So we got up to this back in October. This was an all-time high, and then sellers stepped in and we came back down, okay? So we're looking at it from where do people sell and take profit. That's what happened here, okay? And then we made a new all-time high, and sellers stepped in again right here, okay? And then we made a new all-time high, and sellers stepped right here again, okay? And this isn't like these are random levels. Look, this is 689, so right, it's really psychology. So right before we get to 690, we sold, and we came back down, all the way back down to 650, okay? Right when we're about to get to 700, we come back down to 670. Before you break actual like a psychological number like 700, 680, 690, 650, 720, before you break an actual psychological number like that, people are going to take profit, especially at all-time highs. So what we do on these charts is we determine based off of past analysis and indicators and things of that nature, which we could get into as well. We see where do people sell and where do people buy at. So where, if people do sell, where will we could potentially come down to? And if you guys were here last week, we talked about price trying to come down to this 100 EMA on this daily chart like it did here, because we noticed anytime it hits this blue line, you see it fell under here, came all the way down and retested. Once it broke, we've been running up. We retest, we run up. So we were waiting for it to try to come hit this line again. It didn't exactly hit it, but it got close. So we could potentially still see it hit the line, or we could run through 700 without it actually touching the line. So it all comes down to looking at the charts to understand where do buyers live, where do sellers live. So that's all we look at here. That's all the charts is. And we don't want to overcomplicate what it is. As you start understanding more and more, like, okay, this is what the chart does. This is where buyers stepping in. How can I catch that earlier? How can I see this earlier? How can I form out a liquidity box? Okay, so like when we were on Bitcoin right here, we're on Bitcoin. Oops, wrong Bitcoin. So when we're on Bitcoin, you see these like liquidity boxes that we got mopped out. How do I form these liquidity boxes? How do I understand this? It's because I'm just going off of past price action, okay? I noticed that last time price came here, buyers stepped in and we ran up. Buyers stepped in and we ran up, okay? So now when we stepped here in 2025, we ran all the way up, okay? We ran up and then we came back down, retested this first box, ran up a little bit, and then we came back down, retested the second box and lost it. Once I see we lost the second box, we could come down to potentially my third box, okay? How do I see this third box? Because way back in 2024, price was trading here sideways. It took a while to break. Look, if we stretch this out a little longer, look, it ran up, came back down to the EMA, finally broke through, traded in, broke above, came back, retested. And we look at this stuff and it's like, okay, these are not random numbers. This isn't random stuff. Like, even though this was 2024, the last time it was down here to 49K, it could always come to revisit it. Why would it come revisit it? Because people are going to look at the chart just like me. They're going to look at it like, wait, I could have bought Bitcoin for 49,000 in 2024. I would love to buy it at 49,000 now. So these institutions, these smart money, so banks, hedge funds, they're going to bring the price down to 49,000 in order to make this happen, to buy it at a cheaper rate, okay? And it's like, how do they make that happen? One, they have sell-off, so they sell their stuff to reposition at a better price. Two, they push the propaganda on us because we're the ones, the retailers, us everyday people, we are the ones that have a lot of money in the markets too. So if they could control the narrative and scare us, we could sell off and feed into their plan of driving price as low as possible, okay? So like once we got to 60,000, look, we got right here to 59K, 60K before buyers started stepping in like, okay, this is a good price that I'd want to pay. If we can't break out this zone, then people are going to sell again. There's going to be some new news. Remember, we were just talking about Epstein might have created Bitcoin last week. That kind of dwindled down. There's going to probably be some new news that comes out, like Clarity Act pushed to April, and then price comes back down, and that just makes better buying opportunity. So it's literally just looking like, okay, if price does come down, cool. I know where it's coming to as well. I'm just like the smart money. I'm going to buy some more there as well. All right. And then we just run it up. We want to get into position because once it comes back to retest all-time highs, once it comes back to this 120,000, as we just looked at SPY and as we're looking at Bitcoin, even back here when none of this stuff mattered, okay, when this was an all-time high, in December 2024, it came back down. So this was at 100K. It broke 100K the first time when Trump was about to get inaugurated. It came right back down to 90K. Guess where it came to again? Back to 100K to retest. It happens every time. We could go look back in 2024. It made an all-time high right here of 70,000. It ran back down to 50K, 55K. Guess what it did again? Retested the all-time highs. Came back down. Didn't pass. 56K, retest 69K, 70K, comes back down to 50,000, 40,000. Retest again, sellers step in, and it's just a non-ending cycle. And every time this is happening, there's some sort of propaganda, there's some sort of agenda, there's some sort of altering news to make us everyday people sell, 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 think it's the end, think that we can't get any more where we're trying to go. You know what I mean? Like try to cloud our judgment just to not only retest 70,000 like it did right here in November 2024. Remember, it first hit 70,000 in March. So it took 6 months to actually break above it. Once it broke above it, we were off to the races to 100K. So with all that being in mind, anytime you see like, okay, we're at 100K all-time highs, we're back down, you want to get in position because it's going to come back and retest all-time highs regardless. That always happens. All right, it's going to come back and retest all-time highs. But if we could get in now at 60K, 50K, 70K, 80K before it breaks the 100,000 to 120,000 and then off to 150, you know, that's how we maximize our wins and that's how we maximize our gains. So it's like just staying down and staying humble and staying faith-oriented to have that sort of conviction over your investment long-term instead of short-term. A lot of people are short-term thinking this is a get-rich-quick scheme. If I throw 1,000, I should be getting paid later. You know what I mean? Then it's like, what is that? What books do you recommend for trading? Perfect. So some trading books right here. If you want to start trading for sure, this is probably like the #1 book right here, Brody. Day Trading 101. So this book right here, I've probably got like 3/4 of the way through. I haven't finished the whole thing, but it talks about all types of trading. So like the way I like to read a book like this, I come to the contents right here. Okay, and I look at these content pages. I don't know if you can see it. I look at these content pages right here. And I kind of skim through on based on like where I'm at in my trading journey. So like I've read like chapter 10, you know what I mean? But like I haven't read every single page in between. I kind of go through and see where I want to learn as far as options trading, as far as investing long term, as far as things of that nature. But if you wanted to get into futures, if you wanted to get in FTX, Forex trading, if you wanted to get into options trading, if you want to understand trading psychology, Day Trading 101 is for sure a good book I'd recommend because I have read majority of this book. I have also been practicing what it talks about option trading. Everything in this book about option trading, I read. But as far as futures and the indexes like that, I haven't read that part because I'm just not into futures. I'm not into a funded brokerage account. I'm more into trading my own money and having my money there. You know what I mean? And then as far as crypto, I have read this whole book just as a starter to crypto right here. The Truth About Crypto by Rick Edelman. This came out in 2023, I believe. Very, very, very good book. It shows you the actual meaning of crypto, the actual purpose of blockchain and digital assets. Because when we're investing into the crypto market, we're not investing into cryptocurrency. We're not investing into, at this time right now, we're not investing into, hype and memes. We are investing into the future of finance. We're investing that all assets will be tokenized. We're investing that payroll will be streamed in real time. We're investing that money will be moved digitally instead of via banks. That's what we're kind of investing into. Now, banks could also hop on board of this. Banks could also get involved into the crypto realm, into the digital asset realm. But when you're investing into cryptocurrency, that's what you're investing into. So then you find a currency like Bitcoin and you figure out what is Bitcoin's true utility. What's Bitcoin true utility? Bitcoin was first brought to the table as digital money. Like, okay, we're going to shift away from the dollar to use only Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not that anymore as the crypto market grow bigger and things are starting to fill in voids, okay? Bitcoin ain't going to be able to make real payroll happen, okay? Bitcoin is going to be gold. So for everybody that's under 30, Bitcoins are gold. Just like how gold's been around for centuries and centuries, okay? So this becomes a safe haven. This becomes like, I put my money here because it's safe, because it's scarce, because no one could do nothing with it, because you can't make more, because you can't print more. That's what Bitcoin utility turns into. You could look at other currencies. You could look at other cryptocurrencies that plays better roles, such as EBCN. That helps payroll infrastructure. I'm super bullish on that. XRP, that's going to help bank institution. That's going to help cross-border payments. Everything has its own purpose. ALGO, HBAR, that's going to help, governance token. So making that our passports is on our phones, okay? Our digital IDs, that's going to make that sort of stuff happen. Bitcoin can't do everything. Bitcoin can't do that. Bitcoin was designed to be digital money, but now it's turned into digital gold. So Yeah, those are some books that I do recommend. I also have another book. Honestly, Shaq, you're more in my age demographic too. This is a real good book too, From Hoodies to Suits. This book talks about from the hoodies being, digital assets, people that are pioneers to it, so introducing it, like everyday people like us, teenagers that may have understood where digital assets were going, okay, to suits. So corporate businesses, corporate, big fish, old heads basically that didn't understand the infrastructure behind crypto and Bitcoin. Okay, so this book right here kind of breaks that down and shows how to go from a hoodie to a suit, because the hoodies and the suit need each other. At one point in time where crypto was early stages, back when Bitcoin was first created, the hoodies wanted to take over from the suits, and the suits were not trying to let that happen. Eventually, the suits knew that this was going to be inevitable. So they were like, we're going to need to lean on the hoodies to teach us about this cryptocurrency. And the hoodies needed to lean on the suits because they were making all these digital assets. They were making all this stuff happen, but they didn't understand traditional finance. How they could make this happen with traditional finance. How could this be realistic with traditional finance and the future of finance, okay? So this kind of breaks all of that down in there. So like, this is like, once you kind of understand crypto and the truth about crypto, that book I was just talking about, this is another great book to go into, From Hoodies to Suits. I really do like this book as well. All right. So, and then of course the Bible, you know what I mean? I got the Bible right here. This is actually another great book. Wait a minute. The Bible, okay? The Bible is probably one of the best books to read. Not about trading, not about investing, but how to live as a man and how to stay grounded in the word, okay? Because all things comes back to this. Even after we're done investing, even after we obtain all our goals, everything comes back to this. This is our ticket to life. True life, real life, life after what we got going on here on earth, okay? So definitely read the word as well, because the thing about trading and investing is there's a lot of ups and downs, man. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of spiritual hoops you got to go through. You got to learn discipline, okay? It's going to show you your character. It's going to show you your true character. Are you greedy? You know what I mean? What type of person are you? It's going to hold the mirror right to your face like, this is your flaws, my boy. And if you want to get to generational wealth, you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and get past these flaws, okay? So staying grounded in the word is definitely probably the number one book I could recommend is the Bible, because you got to stay grounded. You have to stay grounded. It's key. It's key, okay? So now, thank you for asking about the books. Trying to finish the songs right now. Okay, bros. Okay. I see you. Yeah. I know, bro. The Psalms is a lot, man. Ganny in the chat right now, she's probably finished all the Psalms. I haven't even finished all the Psalms. There's about 130 chapters in that joint. Now, I've read a lot of Psalms, and I've read the Proverbs, but, I applaud you for trying to read the Psalms, man, because at least you grounded in the word. At least you moving in the right path, bro. Keep that up, man. Keep God first, and we could do all things through Christ who strengthens us, okay? Hey, Ganny. Yep, there go Ganny right there. She's probably one of the few people I know that read every Psalms. Anytime I got a question, I'm calling Ganny up quick like, hey, Ganny, this is what I'm trying to study. The Spirit uses her to use me and vice versa. So I'm super thankful for that relationship as well. But all right, since we're all here and we just did a lot of touching on different subjects, okay, we're going to go back to SPY real quick. We're going to look at SPY and where we're trying to take the markets to this week, okay? What we're looking at this week, all right? So, and this is good too, Shaq, if you were trying to get into day trading. This is kind of how I look at it. I do this every week, every Sunday. I usually do this before stream, but today I kind of was chilling. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this on stream today, okay? So, I usually do this every week to get an outlook, mark levels, so that I know where to day trade. I have my levels marked out. I know where to take price. I know where buyers are going to step in. I know where sellers are going to step in, okay? And the key to all of this is these time frames right here. So what these time frames are is the representation of each candle. So right now you see we're on 1 day. So that means each candle, if we look at the dates down here too, okay, each candle represents a day. So this big green day was Friday, February 6th. As we know, markets is closed Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Wednesday was right here, Tuesday, and onward and on forth, okay? Now, we're going to start in higher time frames and work our way down. So we'll go here from the 1 month time frame, and then we'll go down to this 1 hour time frame, and we'll just get ready for the week and get prepared, and that way we're ready to execute. And then next week when the candles wrap, we do the same thing next Sunday. We just keep getting executed. We keep getting grounded. We document our trades. We do all that stuff, okay? Because it's not about getting rich, you know. It's not about all that. It's about really learning the system. It's about really taking these steps and really doing the process and fully committing and staying grounded in the Lord to use us so that when we do obtain these riches, we know how to steward them properly, okay? So let's get right into this. So month candle, I love to start at the month candle, and what I'm going to be looking at, as we see right here, look at price, 690, 18 days left. So there's 18 days, 18 trading days left in the month of February. So this candle is still forming, okay? So it's green right now. It formed a lower low. It could very well, in red, it could very well break 700, and we could see some upside, okay? But that's neither here nor there. We don't guess, we don't predict. We watch charts and we watch both directions. So first thing first, why I come to the month chart, we're going to go ahead and mark, not this month, but we're going to mark our previous month's resistance and support, okay? What resistance and support is, we're going to look at, and, you know, if you want to take some notes, go ahead, bring your notebook out, because this is real game right here. This is real chart work, okay? So if I'm going too fast, always let me know to slow down, comment, any questions, and I'm willing to slow down and work with everybody, okay? And if you're watching this after the fact, I appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to be live every Sunday. Pull up. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, okay? So we're going to go right into it. So we're going to mark our supports and our resistance from the recent month. So support is pretty much like the floor. So we're going to look at the recent candle. And we're going to go from here, this opening part right here. So the open, we could tell is the open because you see this is where the candle first started at, this little line right here, with that box where it starts. So we're going to draw our box down there to the bottom of the box, okay, right there, boom. So that low wick. And what this is going to show us is kind of where price was going at. So it makes this the floor for January, and then we're going to mark out the top, which is resistance. Resistance is more like the ceiling, okay? So price goes between the floor and it comes up to the ceiling. Comes to the floor, comes to the ceiling. Once it breaks the ceiling, the previous ceiling becomes the new floor. And now there's a new ceiling. You know what I'm saying? And once we lose the floor and we're under the floor, the previous floor, now this floor becomes the ceiling and we have a new floor. Okay, so that's how that works. That's really support and resistance 101. So we're going to mark these out. And I like to keep my charts clean like Coach taught me. Coach is Chris Sane. If you don't know who that is, make sure you go ahead to his channel as well, because he's the coach of all of this. He's the one that taught me all of this stuff I know. So shout out to Coach, okay? But yeah, keep the charts clean. Keep the charts colored, coordinated, so that everything is working in our favor. And I like to get, just like Coach taught me, exact numbers. I don't play none of those games. I need every penny on the table. So I'm going to look right here. I'm going to come look over here at this top right here. I'm going to look at these opens and these lows. So I cover over my candle. I see the open was 685.71. I got it at 61 because I'm not going to be exact every time. But that's why I come back and I edit my work. And then we're going to look at the low. So the low is the lowest point of this wick. Going to go right there. Look at that low, 676.57. I got that one right on the money. Cool. Okay. Then we're going to mark that. January. Oop, got my caps lock on. January resistance. Boom. Just like that. And we already done right there. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my, oh, I'm tripping. My fault. January support. That's my bad. But then we're going to do the same thing for our resistance, okay? January support. Then we're going to do the same thing for our resistance, okay? So we're going to look at the close. This top is the close where this box is closed at. That's where, like, when this month ended, this was the last price it was at, okay? And that is going to be, let me get this ready. So that close where that C is 691.97. So we're going to go down 3 cents because I was 3 cents over. Boom. And then we're going to go to the high of this candle, okay? So the top of that wick, try to get as close as possible. Make sure these levels line up. 697.84. Boom. Already got that in motion. January resistance. Boom. And just like that, we already got our months drawn out, okay? And the funny thing is, and the best part to me is, every time we come down time frames, you'll see the charts working. You'll see how, like, it's actually respecting our levels. And that's how you know you in the right pocket, okay? Because it's respecting the levels. So now, boom, we'll come down from month to this week. All right. So now what I like to do is mark out the previous week candle. Just the previous week. Not all these other weeks. The previous week. I like to mark out the previous week support and resistance. So same thing. We're going to look at the bottom of this previous week candle right here. Boom. And we're going to go to the top. All right. So I like to keep the previous week candles yellow. So I'm going to come down, boom, start it off real quick. Look, if I keep it red, it gets a little messy. You see how it's messy? But once I get to that yellow, boom, I can tell the difference very well. So we keep the charts nice and clean, all right? So we're going to go ahead and mark that box out real quick. Let's go ahead and grab another box real quick. Boom. Drag him out, drag him out, drag him out. And of course, we want to get our exact levels. Can't leave no cents on the table, because I like to get the exact levels, because if price come and hit, I don't either want to not know exactly where it's coming to, and it happens earlier, or it happens, or I'm far off, so it never comes and actually hits where I'm trying to get. I need to get that exact price, okay? Like if price comes down and I'm down here under this wick, but it really goes right to where that wick was, and then reverse, I'll be sitting here holding the bag because I'm waiting for it to hit my zone that I marked that wasn't the actual spot, okay? So that's why we like to get exact dollars and cents when we're doing this. It's like Coach say, nope, these pennies ain't on there for no reason, all right? These pennies ain't on there for no reason, okay? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at our open, 58. That's pretty close, so I'll just go up to 58, and we'll come down to the low of this candle, 79, boom, okay? And then we'll go ahead and mark this previous week support, oops, boom, just like that. And the same thing over here, okay? We're just going to go ahead and make sure our levels is exactly accurate, all right? So we're going to look at the close of this candle, 690.62, so we're a little off right there. I'll go ahead and just type that in, and we'll go to the high for the previous week, which was 696.96. We're a little off there, which is all good because we could always come back and edit our work. And then we'll go ahead and put previous week resistance. Boom. And just like that, we already finished what we were doing for our week chart, okay? So our week chart is all good too now. So now this is where it gets a little different, okay? So now we on the daily chart. So now you see how our price is respecting though. So like, let's first look at how price is already respecting. So you see right here on January 26th, it came right to the bottom of our monthly support, and it reversed. This previous week, it came right to the bottom of here, and it reversed, okay? So that's how, okay, cool. We got our levels marked out. We know exactly what's going on, yada, yada, yada. Perfect, right? So now on the daily chart, we're not gonna mark out our recent day low and high, or no, I mean our recent day, I'm tripping, weekend support and resistance. We're gonna go ahead and look for trends. We like to look for themes on a daily chart. Daily chart, 4-hour chart, and 1-hour chart. We want to look for different themes. So on the daily chart, what I really like to look for is there any gaps. A gap is basically where price jumped up and jumped to another spot, and there's no money being traded in between. So it doesn't look like there's any gaps. But for the sake of the understanding of what a gap is, let's go ahead and scroll to another one. Okay, so a gap's right here. We're in October right now, right? This is October, yeah. So October, this is a good gap. I like to keep my gap boxes white. This is me personally, okay? This is just how my flow of my charts look. So a gap is this. From Thursday to Friday, you see it gapped up. So we were trading, we closed here at 671 at a high of 672, and we gapped up to 675 to 676, and we continue to run up. Now the reason why we mark our gaps is because price always comes back to fill a gap, okay? And 98% of the time, price is going to come back to fill the gap. So we want to mark that out, because once we start coming down from all-time highs, we have a zone where we could play shorts, because you could also trade towards the downside. You only got to make money on stocks going up. You can make money on stocks coming down. That's called shorts. That's called puts. Okay? That's called shorts and puts. To make money to the upside is called calls and longs. Okay? Calls and longs. So in this case, we had a gap up here, and then we had another gap up there. Okay? So we would have marked these gaps out, waiting on price to come back down. And guess what? It didn't take too long for price to come down. We gapped up, boom, we gapped up again. And then guess what? We see a little indecision candle. We try to push some more all-time highs. Sellers step in right here before we break 690. And we in a downtrend. One more time, it tries to retest out of the support box. Couldn't get it done. So at this time, this January support box wasn't here, but this is where the support box is now. Okay, and it's crazy how it's respecting that price. I'm telling you, these numbers don't be random. Okay, we got January support box mapped out, and price was respecting that in October. Okay, that's neither here nor there. But you see it try to run it up, and it came back down. It refilled this gap, okay? And now we're waiting on it to refill this gap. And guess what? Sellers still stayed in, refilled this gap, lost the gap, came back above, gapped again. I'm telling you, every time there's a gap, it's going to refill it. I see it all the time, especially with SPY. SPY loves trading like that. Okay, we gapped up here. Boom, we gapped up, ran up, couldn't break through, came right back down, filled the gap. It's the same thing. So we look for that on the daily chart. We don't see any gaps here. Okay, cool. Another thing I like to look for is handoffs. So what a handoff is where momentum switched. So like right here, this is a good handoff zone right here. So like you see right at the top of our box right here, the 689 is a handoff. So bears have momentum, and they handed the momentum off to the bears. It ran up and it came down. Wigged, guess what? Lower low. Wig, down to support. Okay, and then we ran back up. So like I would put like a little line here, like a little horizontal line right on those two boxes right there. And then I like to make the handoff zones yellow, but I make them yellow with very light opacity. Then I might be saying that wrong, but since this is right on that previous support, I'm actually going to make this blue this time around and make it a little bit darker right there, so that we can kind of see that. Okay, and then I'd add text. Let me add text on there. Let me see. Add some text, and I'd put 1 day handoff zone. Okay, and that's just showing me like next time like price is getting closer, I'm like, okay, previously price was here and momentum switched. So I'll keep that in mind as I'm in a day trade. Okay, that's all this is for. This is for as I'm day trading, I'm looking and I'm seeing, I'm like, all right, cool. I understand what price is. I understand what's going on. So I got to make sure I don't get caught off guard by anything. This was a handoff zone. Not only was this a handoff zone, but this was the top of previous week's support. So I know like here something diabolical could happen. It could either play in my favor or it could not. So I would decide, do I want to be in position at that time, or do I want to make my move after we get some upside from these spots, okay? So that's what we're looking for in the day chart. In the 4-hour chart, the same thing. We're going to look for swing zones. You could kind of catch a move right before. Okay, so the daily chart, we come down to the 4 chart. The daily chart, you see like it's just a big green candle. We can see on the 4-hour chart moves starting to happen after. So we could see it came down, and then we could see like, okay, this was running up. It was forming higher highs. That's how that was happening. So now we'll be looking for Monday. When Monday comes out the gate, we're going to be looking to see, will this 4-hour chart form a higher high? Or will it get stopped down and come back down and try to retest this EMA on the 4-hour chart at 684? If we start not forming higher highs and I get a lower low, then I could potentially know we could retest this EMA right here. And if we retest this EMA, boom, this support zone right here, I scale out there. I could take price down there. I could buy extra contracts, scale out, keep a runner down to that EMA, and get out. Okay, and this is significant moves. I know it looked like, wait, price only went $6, but we're trading contracts. We're not trading price. Okay, when you trade in contracts, one contract represents 100 shares. So you got 10 contracts, you know, you could really make some volatility shake with a $2 move. Realistically, the more contracts you get, you don't even need $2. You got 10 contracts, price start moving, you already up 100 off of a 50-cent move, depending on your delta and things like that. And delta in the Greeks is just a whole other thing, okay? Delta is, we're not even gonna get into that today. If y'all want me to go over the Greeks as well, from my understanding of it, then we could do that in a separate video. But for me, we could talk about delta real quick, because delta is the one that I look at the most. I never buy a contract that's under a 0.5 delta. Why? 1, because coach put me onto that game. 2, because you don't want to buy out of the money, because the money won't move as fast. You get what I'm saying? So if I buy a contract with a strike price of 689 and price is already at 692, as soon as I get in, the contract's moving faster because the IV is super liquid. Okay, the IV is super liquid on that, as opposed to me, and that delta is probably going to be like a 0.67, which is can't escape 6.7, golly. But it's gonna probably be like a 0.67, 0.68, and that's perfect. That's a great delta. As it keeps going up, you know, that delta could get to a 1 delta faster than it would if I were to buy a contract right here, price at, let's say it's at 689, and I buy one that's like with a strike price of 694. Okay, my delta gonna probably be a 0.3. So then, even as I gotta get past $694 in order to even get in the money. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, at that point, you might as well not. Buying in the money means I'm buying at what price is already passed. So if price is already at 689, I'm gonna buy my contract with a 687 strike price because I'm already in the money and my delta gonna be higher. So I know I just unloaded a whole clip of investment talk and trading talk. So if I was going too fast, let me know, because I'm talking like I'm talking to some like people that understand what's going on, which is perfectly fine if we don't. We just gotta slow me down because I get to rambling. All right. Anywho, we're gonna look at the 4-hour chart, and then once we start coming down to the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart, when we getting ready for the week, we want to really see like how does price react to these levels. So we see right here, boom, like we get to this EMA. You see it was testing this EMA. So this was earlier in the week. This was Tuesday when we first hit this 100 EMA. And remember, last week live, we looked at this 4-hour chart and we looked at this EMA and we were like, we could potentially come to retest this EMA. If we lose this EMA, then we'll be retesting the EMA on this daily chart, okay? And our thesis was, pretty much accurate, okay? We came down to retest this EMA. Monday we had a little try to run up, and it was a volatile day. We didn't go too much. Tuesday was a massive sell-off. We sold straight off. We went from 696 to 686, $10 move. I was in some shorts that day. I had a positive trade, okay? Then the next day, we hit this EMA, and we rejected it, and we ran back up, okay? And then this next day, we lost the EMA. So we closed under it, tested it again, and we tried to retest. And then the next retest on this same Wednesday, we lost it the next day on Thursday. And once we got under, we came down to try to retest that 100 EMA on the daily chart, just like our thesis was. So we know price is going to try to glue at this EMA. So now we ended up ending the week on Friday, getting above the EMA, and we're above all EMAs. We're back to 690. So coming into this week, we want to make sure that, are we staying above these EMAs? Like I said, the first beginning of the candle, I'm going to be looking at these higher time frames to see, are we forming higher highs to continue to run and break through our January's resistance, or do we get rejected? You see, we try to break through, we got rejected, and we still closed right under previous week resistance, okay? So we got to still make some moves in order for us to have bullish sentiment. But if we can't make bullish sentiment, then we got to look at these EMAs, and we could potentially go down. So even if we take price down to this EMA right here, that's a great $2 move. With 5 contracts, you're looking at some great bread. Okay, if we take it down to the 8 EMA to 686, that's a $4 move. That's even better bread. But then if we try to take it down to this retest of this 684, we're talking about life-changing money if we're patient and we stay in position long enough, okay? And that's something I struggle with, honestly. Like, I don't like staying in positions too long. I like getting profit. So, like, I could potentially make like $5K a trade, but sometimes I'll just be like, you know what, let me just take my profit. I'm cool with base hits. And that's just how I am right now in this season of my trading. I'm not chasing the 5K days, okay? I'm cool with a good 700, 600, 500. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with base hits, because then I'm getting my batting average up. You know what I'm saying? For my baseball fans, I'm getting my batting average up when I'm hitting these base hits. I don't need to come out swinging for the home run every time, because every time you're trying to get a home run every hit, you can strike out. And if you strike out here in these markets, you blowing accounts. You losing money. You ain't trading no more. The biggest key is to protect our capital. Protected capital is by taking base hits, locking in profits, having risk management, activating stop losses, having a plan before you enter the trade, knowing where you want to take price to, and knowing if price came down here, this is where I'd exit. Okay? This is how you don't blow accounts. I've blown accounts. I've blown my account before. A couple years back, I've lost bread trying to go hit home runs, trying to have a perfect batting average. Okay? I'm done with that. So I'm cool with coming up to the bat. Give me a cool single. Bow. Nice little 300 ball. Making it to second base. Go steal second base. Cool. Fine. I'm cool with stacking that up, because that builds consistency. That builds patience. That builds discipline. It builds all the traits that we need in order to succeed in trading. Investing's different, but for trading, these base hits matter. All right. So yeah, these little $2 moves that we think when we look at the stock, like, oh, this is only $2. Nah, this is life-changing money based on how many contracts you have. And I like to personally have like anywhere between 5 and 10, 3 to 10 at the minimum. Like sometimes if I'm not too sure, like, okay, like this is a good setup, but I don't want to risk too much, I'll just jump in 3 and then scale in some more. If I'm super sure, like this hit every setup, like this hit every point on my setup, I'll get like 10 contracts. Okay, 10 contracts might cost me $1,000, but I'd rather risk $1,000 to make 500 than to only risk $100 and I'm trying to swing a home run to make 500. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. That's not how trading works. So once we understand that, it's just a good routine to have. So let's look at the 4-hour chart and just, for me on the 4-hour chart, it's the same thing. I want to look at any swing zones. Okay, this is a good swing zone right here. That's 684 right at this EMA. So I'm going to actually mark this as a 4-hour swing zone right here. Same thing. I'm going to turn the if I'm saying this wrong, let me know. I call it opacity. I'm going to turn the opacity lower. All right. I'm going to drop that to about 50. And we're just going to call this 4-hour swing zone. Okay. Just like I said, just so I know when I'm like in a trade, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm approaching where, momentum handed off. So I could decide if I'm going to get out or what do I want to do. And you see like this 4-hour swing zone is right here at the EMA. So then I'll see it's a 4-hour swing zone and I might be day trading on my 15-minute time frames and see it's coming down and I'm like, wait a minute, let me go look at my 4-hour chart. Why is that marked 4-hour swing zone? And I'm like, oh shoot, that's the 100 EMA. Price moves there. This could be either we falling down or we could either get hit with a reversal. So I got to be aware of stuff like that. We have to be aware of stuff like that, okay? And then last but not least, coming down to the 1-hour chart. And you see the 1-hour chart right here. Look, Friday was pretty much a great day. I was in the calls on Fridays too. And like I said, I take my base hit. I ain't hold all day. I had a great trade lined up. You know what I mean? And I let price move $4 and I got out. And I was cool with that because I made me about a good 300 on the swing. Nice, cool, boom. Get out of there. And then, yeah, potentially I could even made more if I decided to hold. But I was like, there's no reason to. I moved my stop loss up, got hit. My stop loss got hit, like, theoretically on, a little retest, and I got out right at 689. Like, okay, I missed $1. I could have made, instead of 300, I probably would have made 500. But it don't matter to me. Base hits is base hits. I'm going to take what I could take. Okay? So looking at the 1-hour chart is the same thing. Uh-oh. Look right here. We got a little 1-hour gap zone right here. So I'm actually going to mark this gap zone. And I don't usually mark gap zones on the 1-hour chart, but I'm going to this time because this is showing me that price could potentially come down here if we could lose these EMAs, okay? If we could lose these EMAs, we could potentially come down to this. So I'm going to call this 1-hour gap zone. Boom. Just in case, like if I'm in some puts and I'm like, okay, we losing all these levels, this is where we coming down to, and I could potentially take price down to this 681 to 678 range and be comfortable about it. Okay, and just like any other level we mark, we got to make sure we exact. So we're going to go to coordinates right here, and we're going to get the low of this candle, 680.85. So that looks like, yeah, 680.85. We were close. Boom. And then we're going to get the high of this candle, 678.34. We was close again. But we're going to get exact. And now I got some hour gap zones marked out just in case, like, price does come down and I'm in some shorts, a.k.a. puts. Then I'm like, okay, I could keep a runner down to this zone. And now if my runner comes to this zone, I can make some more profit on the back end of the trade that I'm already in profit of. Okay, I locked in profit and I got a runner. A runner is if I have 10 contracts, I might scale out 5, then I might scale out 4, but I'll keep that last one there just in case it does come down to my lowest take profit zone possible. Rather than staying on 10, get hit with a reversal in the trade that was up 400 is now negative 200. Okay, which has happened to me plenty of times. So that's where I kind of got better at scaling in, scaling out, and doing things of that nature and leaving runners and letting runners run. Okay, if you got a runner, you could feel so much confident, so much patience, so much obedient to stay in the trade because you already locked in profit on your other 9 contracts. Or if you traded 7, your other 6 contracts, and now it's like this last contract is straight motion. It's straight motion. So even if this does reverse, I could get out and I'm still gonna be up what I was up. You know what I mean? So that's how we look at this. And then I like to come to my 15-minute chart and I like to be like, okay, cool. Like, let me see how price was respecting everything. So look, ooh, this is good. This is good. This is good. So look, this could be a clue for what could come Monday. Okay. So look, we see right here, we got a nice little red candle. So we tried to break up to 692 in the last 15 minutes on Friday. But you see seller stepped in. Seller stepped in and we ended up right here. Boom. We ended up right here. Ooh, and this candle right here is called a shooting star. So now with that being said, we could look at this 15-minute candle and be like, huh. And that's the thing. 1 hour candle don't show that, okay? It shows the wick up top, but it also shows the long green body because that's a full hour. 4 hour candle don't show that neither. It shows the wick, but it shows that. But now, when we come down to our smaller time frames, we could see that wick was actually sellers stepping in. And then look at the volume on that candle, boy. 1.57, which makes sense. Everyone's that was locked into trades throughout the week, they taking profit before the weekend because you don't want to hold positions over the weekend. It makes sense. But we gonna keep this in our thesis, like, all right, we could potentially come out and people is either using their profits to get back in position, so price could open up down here at the EMA, or soon as the market opens, people could take profits. So definitely before the market opens tomorrow, I'll be looking at ES. ES is basically the futures version of SPY. So people that trade futures, as far as institutions and future traders, the people with funded account, they'll be trading overnight of the stock market. And I'll get to see where price is, and then we'll see how SPY will react to that. Okay, so that was actually pretty cool to see that unfold like that, coming to the 15-minute chart, and especially for like the viewers out there as well. That's why coming down to lower time frames from higher time frames is imperative, okay? And, we're going to wrap up the SPY session. You know what I mean? We got a lot of good gems out of this one. So now, the last thing that I'm going to do, and this is what I do every day, okay? So every day we do this. We get ready for the day before. We're going to mark previous day highs and lows, all right? And that's super simple to do. It's super simple to do. So we're going to come right here. We're going to get to the previous day candle, and we're going to mark the top wick, and we're going to mark the bottom wick. This is an everyday thing because I want to make sure I mark my previous day levels because sometimes price reacts to those zones as well. And then in the morning, like right before market opens, I'm going to mark my pre-market high and my pre-market low as well, okay? So let's go ahead and mark these out real fast. Super simple. We'll hover over. We'll go to the H in this top corner, okay? So look right there, H, 692.31. And then I like to try to get as close as possible. Boom, 692.31. These ones, I like to mark red and green, okay? So since this is a high, we'll mark that green. Then we'll go, oops, didn't mean to do that. And then we'll just go previous day high. Super simple. Come down here, right to this. And it looks like this is going to be the same as our 1 hour gap zone right here. Low was 680 for the previous day. So it cut down. Low 680 to 685. Let's go ahead. Pull. And then we'll change that to red. And then we'll go ahead and mark that previous day low. Boom. Alright. And then we're ready for the trading week. Okay? We are ready for the trading week. And another thing I do, I got dual monitors. So I look at ES. So you see my ES charts be marked out all the way. Just the same way. I like to look at overnight trading and get a good idea of that. So I'll come to this 6 o'clock. So these were the overnight highs and lows from Friday because I like to get price to react to that. And then I'll come here to 6 o'clock when trading starts for futures. Okay. And we'll go vertical line right there. Go to 6 o'clock, boom. And then I like to go overnight. Oh, I'm in my caps lock still. I'm tripping. Oh my gosh. Excuse my typing. I'm going crazy tonight. Overnight trading. Alright. And then like first thing in the morning, that's why I get up super early. I like to get into the word, to my scriptures. And then I like to look at these levels as well for pre-market highs and lows on SPY. And I like to look at overnight highs and lows on the futures. So I'm going to just let this trade all night. And then when I come up in the morning, so like for instance right here, this is overnight trading. Market opens at 6:30, so I will mark between here and the 6:30 candle, I will mark the low, which would have been right here, and I'll mark the high, which would have been right here. And then I'll wait for these futures contracts to break that level, which it did here, come back and retest that level, which it did right there, then I enter. And then I take it to the top, and that's what happened. That's really what happened last Friday. Like that was the thing. And then I'll get on SPY and I'll get in position. And SPY ran up just like ES futures did, okay? So we'll do the same thing every day. Just try to find the key to trading is not trying to hit home runs, not trying to exploit every system that's out there. It's finding your niche. Find what you like to do. How do you like to trade? Are you a momentum trader? Are you a swing trader? Are you an intraday trader? If you're an intraday trader, how do you like to trade intraday? Are you a micro scalper? Do you only want to trade 1s and 5 minutes or with lots of contracts? Or do you like to trade the ORB? Do you not touch the charts the first 15 minutes like myself? And then you get into position based on the ORB highs and lows, okay? Do you like to do multi chart work? So do you like to look at the futures and compare it to the SPY like I do myself? Do you like to do different time frames? Do you like to go from 15 minutes to your 5 minutes to your 3 minutes to your 1 minute like I do myself and get multi-conviction and then get into position? Those are my three mixtures: is ORB, multi-time frame, and looking at futures charts. Okay, that's where I ended up getting to. And originally it just started off as momentum trading, and then I ended up graduating to learning about ORB, and I just started adding it to my bag. And it's like, I'm not trying to do everything. I find my niche. This is my niche. This is how I became profitable in trading. Okay, and now it's like, all right, cool. Now that I'm profitable, I just got my niche. I don't need to go out there and do what everybody else do. I don't need to go out there and chase what these other influencers are doing or what these other traders are doing. I found my niche. My job isn't to make you think my niche is the best. My job is to introduce you to the space. Okay, introduce you to trading, introduce you to investing, and you find how you invest. You find what you like to do once you get into the realm. And then once you find out what you like to do, you stick to what you like. If you only want to hold long-term investments, so you only want to buy shares and you don't want to trade, then that's what you do. You do that. If you only want to buy ETFs and dollar cost average ETFs every week, you do that. If you want to only buy tech stocks and you banking on earnings, you do that. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong method to trading or to investing. Okay, if you understand market psychology and you understand when to buy low and to sell high and when to get in positions, and if you got long-term conviction on something, and I might not even understand it, and you really know, like, hey, this is a great CEO, they got green on their earnings, they doing great, they've got plenty of momentum, and they're needed for maybe data centers for AI, or they're needed to make blockchains happen. This is a necessity. Hey, do your thing, invest. That's literally what we're supposed to do. Okay. So it's about finding your niche, and don't let nobody else's progress dictate how you move, because once you in your lane, it's just like driving. If you driving in your lane, right? I'm driving my lane investing, but I'm too busy looking at this person in my next lane like, wait, they making money doing that strategy. Hold on. They doing that. You gonna mess around and crash. You gonna blow your account because you so worried about what the next person doing. You can't drive looking at the person in the lane next to you or looking at the person 4 lanes over. You got to stay focused on your lane. You got to stay focused on where you going. How much time you got. Am I finna be late? No, you ain't going to be late. The stock market always going to be around. The crypto market is going to be around forever now as well. You actually early to the crypto market. That's why I suggest investing into crypto, because you early. Okay? So it comes down to finding your niche and understanding your system, your strategy, and who you are as a trader, and then just executing that. Just executing that. Just getting super consistent. It gets boring after a while. Like, it gets so boring, like, coming up, showing up every day, doing the same thing over and over and over. But the thing is that the beginning is the thrill. Like, oh, shoot, I just made more money than I would have made clocking in today. It's that thrill, like, yeah, it's getting excited. But then once it's like, man, I'm doing the same thing. This is kind of getting boring. You got to stay disciplined. You got to stay locked in. You got to stay focused, okay? And the market has different things every day. So you can't predict the markets. You can't predict the stock market, okay? It's not gambling unless you turn it into gambling. If you just like, okay, I'm gambling that it's going to go up. I'm gambling that it's going to go down. It's not gambling if you looking at the charts. This is algorithmic data right here. This is actual psychology. This is actual money making this move. This isn't just like, that's what the Super Bowl, I had shared something on my Instagram. Let me pull that up real quick. For those of you that's watching and may not even have me on social media, I have shared this picture, and it's about the Super Bowl, okay? And it says, what does it say? So NBC sells 30-second ads for $8 million. NFL is making $400 million off tickets and suites. Bay Area is making $630 million off of economic impact, and Americans are spending $1.76 billion. $1.76 billion on investing. So that's $1 billion and 76 million. $1 billion and 76 million dollars is being spent on gambling, on betting on the Super Bowl. And to me, people would much rather gamble their money away on other human beings rather than keeping their money safe over something that grows over long-term time. For surely, if you put your money into a SPY and you hold that for 3 years, it's gonna go up. It's going up. It's data that proves it. The charts show it. But people much rather go out and bet on the Super Bowl. Like, how many people in the world probably bet on the Patriots today and they couldn't score a touchdown to the fourth quarter? But you rather, but investing in Apple is too risky. Even though you got an iPhone, a MacBook, an Apple Watch, Apple TV, 7 different subscriptions for more storage, like. But you don't want to invest into Apple. You don't want to invest into Netflix, even though you got the highest subscription. You watching shows every night. You know every show that's Netflix series that's coming out this year. But you don't want to invest into Netflix. You want to go bet on people that's going to be playing the sport that you don't know the outcome to. That you're guessing. You gambling on the outcome. To me, you know, I was there once upon a time in life when I was doing sports betting before I was even 21. Cause I always had a good feeling. I wasn't going out now. Let me go back real quick, cause that just really sounds hyper illegal. I'm 24 now, but I'm not saying I was doing illegal activity. Okay, I was doing bets with my friends. Okay, way before I was 18 on sports. And yeah, you know, sometimes you make some money, get happy. Some other times you don't. But there's no science to it. You're just guessing. There's no sort of strategic strategy to all of that. And at a certain point in time, you got to come to the realization like, all right, man, how can I, as a grown man, how can I really maximize my gains, not only for myself, but for my family? How can I be a true steward? You ain't going to be no steward betting on people younger than you to perform a certain way. And now when they don't, you feeling some sort of animosity towards a stranger you don't know that's going to get paid regardless. Like, we bet as people, we bet $1 billion on sports. Half of the people ain't win. Even if you got 3 out of your parlay right, your 4th parlay blew your whole ticket. You spent $1.76 billion. Us all as Americans, we spent $1 billion on investing. Everybody else made their money. The NFL is breaded up after this. San Francisco, breaded. The sport books, breaded. But you just threw your last $100, your last $1,000. Now you can't eat this week over some like short-term dopamine, hope, and gambling. Okay. That's not good. That's not good. The stock market and investing long-term, crypto market in long-term. You could get the same dopamine investing short-term, think you're going to get a get-rich-quick scheme. You get that same dopamine for sure. But, like, that's not cool to do. Like, so I would encourage people, like, if you're going to do sports betting, I hope you got some shares in Apple. Because how you putting your parlay in? If you putting your parlay in on the iPhone and you don't own Apple shares, my brother, I'm going to pray for you, because it's insane to me that we do that, man. Like, you betting on DraftKings, but you don't own DraftKings stock. You the reason they stock going up, because you in DraftKings every single day betting on the NBA. I don't know who I'm talking to out there, but if the shoe fit, I apologize, because I'm not being personal. I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to open minds and eyes to turn away from the sports book and turn away from the parlays and come into some long-term generational wealth. There is no greater vehicle to generational wealth other than investing. Meaning, if you hop up in your car and you about to drive to generational wealth, you're not going to make it there by sports betting unless you hit the lotto. You're not going to make it there by working a 9-to-5 unless you is a doctor working tremendous hours that put years and years and years of hard work into school to learn that, or to do computer science, going to school to learn that. You know what I mean? You're not going to get to generational wealth even doing that. You working bi-weekly. You're working every day to get paid bi-weekly. I don't like that neither. I'm doing the same thing. We getting paid hourly, bi-weekly. We are getting paid hourly, bi-weekly. That means every day we show up getting paid on the hour, but can't touch it for 2 weeks. We not gonna get generational wealth like that. The best way, the greatest vehicle, is investing, because as your money is sitting there, it's moving. If you got your money in your savings on your Chase account, it ain't going nowhere. You're not earning no interest. It only changes if you take money out, which is more tempted to do than add more money in. Okay? So, long story short, I don't know why I ended up on this realm. I don't know how we got here, but, you know, the Lord had to bring us there for some reason. Okay? We got to get out the habit of these sports books and these short dopamines and trying to flip cash quick. That's not how you get rich. That is not how you build generational wealth. At least the right way, okay? You gotta learn. You have to, like, learn investing. You have to learn it. And the reason, and to me, like, if we were being taught this in school, man, if we were being taught this in school, everyone would understand the charts. Everyone would understand the markets, and price will move a lot different than it does today. Okay? But the rich gets richer off of us not understanding the markets. So why would they teach us to understand? Like, they wouldn't teach us that. They wouldn't put that in school. Like, we go to school for, now K through 12. We go to school for 12 years, and we don't learn a lick about this. You know, we are going to school to be taught to be employees, to work for life, to compound check after check after check, and stress how we gonna make ends meet. Now, we could beat that system by not even investing. We could beat that system by not even looking at charts or anything like that, by trusting God. For sure. Like, even if you like, I don't want to invest, I'm cool with how I'm living, I'm cool with my job, I like that. As long as you got God, if you got God working a 9 to 5, if you got God going to school, if you got God investing, if you got God doing nothing, you gonna be straight. For sure. You gonna be straight regardless. So it's like, yeah, I'm saying investing is not the only way, for sure. Don't get me wrong. But investing is something that should be taught to every person. You should know that off the dribble. That's why I've created this platform, trying to spread that knowledge and spread that empowerment to others, because the rich gets richer off of us not understanding, off of us getting tricked by these social media gimmicks and these things that people are putting out into the world, the seeds that are being planted. We get tricked by that, and we get out of position, and then the rich people come around shaking their hands like this. They're like this, like, there it go. All the uneducated people, they don't know what the heck to do. Now we can make some bread because the market's coming down. And it's not like we getting taught this in school. We're not getting set up for success. We're not getting set up for success. It's a generational curse. It literally is. This is the greatest vehicle to generational wealth. So why would they tell you about it? They're not gonna tell you about it. But that's why I'm here to tell you about it. But even going back to what I was just saying, even if you didn't take the investing route, if you got God aligned in everything you're doing, then it's going to all work out in your favor at the end. No matter what you're trying to pursue. If you're trying to be a doctor, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you like working your 9 to 5, if you want to own a business, if you want to start your own business, if you want to just be an honest living guy that just goes from point A to point B and go to church, then, and God is grounded in that, and he's using you through the Spirit, then you're going to be able to go do great things. That's why at the end of the day, no matter what road we choose in life, it has to be God included, because then that's going to lead us to our purpose. It's going to lead us to where we have to go in life. Okay, if you're getting taught in schools, if we are being taught in schools from K through 12 to be workers for our whole life, and we don't even seek God, we will never come across our purpose. And now it's like, if we don't come across our purpose because we're not seeking God, what are we truly doing here on earth? Are we impacting others? Are we teaching others? Are we seeking the Lord? Or are we just soaking up space and time, going with the flow, not knowing what's to come after life, not even caring what comes after life, just maneuvering through the world as a normal human being, as a common person? We got to be uncommon. The uncommon thing to do is to love God. The uncommon thing to do is love God, okay? The common thing to do is give your heart to the world, to go drinking, to go smoking, to go partying, to go gambling, to go do all the things that, you know, it's easily influenced. Like, a lot of people, when you start talking about the Lord and start talking about God and start talking about Jesus, they be like, man, you putting God all in my face. Like, stop doing that. But you much rather me post me in the section in the club, though. You don't mind that, huh? You don't mind the club being pushed in your face. You rather me be cussing and drinking and popping shots. You don't mind when I post that sort of stuff, though, right? You don't mind when I'm throwing ones at the strippers, right? You don't mind that getting pushed to you, okay? You don't mind the lustful things that's getting posted. You don't mind women showing off their bodies. You don't mind that being pushed on you. But as soon as it comes to Jesus' name, because all demons fear when they hear Jesus. All them spirits that be inside of us unintentionally when we give our hearts to the world, they don't like to hear that. So deep inside, we don't want to hear that. That's why it's like, man, don't push that on me. Don't push God on me. No, I'm going to push him on you. And if you don't like it, you can unfollow me. You ain't gotta get with my program, because my program is strictly ran by the Lord himself, by Jesus. That's how we operating over here. So it's like, if you rather see me getting lit at the clubs, blowing money, showing you how much money I'm making, wearing all these different type of things and doing all this stuff that was a reflection of the world and me giving my heart to the world, if you don't like my cup being filled and the reflection is my identity in Christ, then I honestly don't know what to tell you. Like, because the old Trey, a lot of people knew that I'm speaking from me. The old Trey, a lot of people knew that words doing these worldly things that gave his heart out that way is no longer. So now it's like, I'm doing this new version of me that's more identified in Christ, and I don't know if people don't like it. I don't really care, because this is the way we need to live. And it's like, I'm going to continue to use my light to bring people to his kingdom, because heaven going to be big enough for all of us. I don't got to gatekeep it. It's just like investing. I don't need to be like the rich people to gatekeep it and make money off of people not understanding, because I'm in position regardless. I'm already set up to where, like, soon as this crypto starts taking off normality, I'm straight. Okay, I'm good. I understand the market. I understand psychology. So I don't need to gatekeep. Same thing with God. I'm confident in my relationship with God. I don't need to try to hoard all the blessings or be like, no, I want God all to myself. No, we serve a great God. Okay, he sent his son to die not only for me, but for you, for all of us. Not only us in America, not only people in Mexico, not only people in India, not only people in Israel, but people in Ethiopia, but people in Afghanistan, but people in Texas, but people in North Dakota, but people in Bama. He died for all of our sins so that we can all meet him. So why gatekeep any of that? Okay, why gatekeep any of that? So with all that being said, and I think we're just going to kind of end on this note right here. With all of that being said, okay, the key to generational wealth, if that's what you're pursuing, if that's what you're trying to obtain, if you want to get outside of, the bubble that we were brought up into, that we were raised into, as far as you having to survive off of a job, okay, and working a job's not bad. I plan on working, okay, I plan on working forever. Not forever, until I can retire. But I don't plan on, just being a cash cow that is content with life and just wants to sit and do nothing. No, I plan on using my resources as a tool to steward the next to come. So I plan on actually putting boots to the ground until I'm probably about like a good 50, 55. So working is not a bad thing, but working becomes a bad thing when it's the structure of your life. When working a 9 to 5 is the only thing you have and you're waiting to like live paycheck to paycheck to make the ends meet. We have to break that bubble, okay? We have to. How do we do so, Trey? First, trust God. That's the ultimate blueprint, because then God opens up doors along the journey of everything else to come. Then when you have sleepless nights, he's the pillow, okay? When you stressed out and you don't know if they gonna improve or something, or if whoever got the answer you don't know what they outcome gonna be, God is the outcome. He comes up into people's mind on your behalf because of your favor, because of the grace that he gave us. Okay, grace is his empathy to the ill-deserving. So we don't deserve it, but he still gives us grace. He still gives us mercy, and he still forgives us at the end of the day. So you might as well take advantage of that beautiful thing, because the people in the Old Testament ain't had that. They ain't had Jesus yet. They ain't had Jesus. They had the mean God. They had God that was playing no games. Okay? And we don't have that. We have the luxury of doing wrong and being able to be born again. We could resurrect. Okay? We could resurrect. Resurrection is something dying and then coming back to life. Jesus did it the best. He died for our sins and he rose 3 days later. We could die. We could put our old flesh to death. And then we could come back in the spiritual identity, led by the Lord, ministering his word, doing our purpose in the world for his good. All glory be to God. And then life is good. You could work your job. You could invest. You could do what you want to do under his authority. So first step is to get God in your life, to trust the Lord. Next step in your life is to learn investing. Like, it's to learn it. I'm not saying to put all your money into investing. I'm saying this is the free step. Learning. You ain't got to spend a dime to learn. You ain't gotta spend $1 to learn the system of investing. Okay, you ain't gotta go sign up for no courses. You ain't gotta go put $100 into Apple. You ain't gotta do nothing. You got every resource at your advantage. First, you got me right here. I know a lot when it comes to this space, and I love talking about it. So you can always reach out to me. If you don't even want to do that, you have the internet. We are blessed to be in this realm where the internet is a thing. And not only that, you have AI. Now, I know everybody might be scared of AI. We don't know what's to come with AI. Will it take over the world? Will it do this? Will it do that? Yada, yada, yada. But let me tell you one thing it can do. It could tell you how these markets work so that you could get laced up and start investing. It could show you how to open up a Roth IRA. It could teach you what a Roth IRA is. It could teach you what trading is. It could teach you what an ETF is. It could teach you the tech stocks, the blue chip stocks. It could teach you everything you need to know to get started. So there's no excuses. That's a free step right there. Learning to invest. Okay, that's step 2. So trusting God, keeping God rooted, learning to invest, and then once you learn, doing the investing. So now you did the free step. You understood how to invest, why to invest, why is it a safe thing to do. Now go ahead and do it. You don't have to stop working and go invest. Manage your money right. Create a budget plan. Are you going to invest 10%? Are you going to invest 20%? Are you going to invest 50%? What's right for your finances? How much is you making? Cut off them expensive. Cancel that subscription. If you ain't got the money, start low with $10, $20. I could tell you something. You could put $10 in a week and you'll be straight. Okay? If you get past the first 2 steps though. Do you trust God and do you learn? Do you understand what's going on? Do you even understand what the markets is? Then we can start trying to put some practices into that realm, okay? So with all that being said, those 3 things is the best place to start, because when you got God at the start of it, that when you complete step 1, He'll guide you through step 2 and step 3, and then you'll start growing conviction. Then you'll be like, wait, this don't feel right. I don't know if I should invest there. This don't feel right. This don't feel right. This don't feel right. That's called conviction, my brother. Discernment, my brother. That feeling in my sister, that feeling in your gut. That's what that is. You start growing out over time. Why? Because God's number 1. So everything to come after that, is perfect. He's gonna guide you through there. So I'm gonna wrap this stream up, man. I'm gonna wrap it up. And man, I appreciate everybody that tuned in today to the stream, man. I'm gonna definitely pray us out this stream as well. And then, we're gonna be back again next Sunday with another stream. And until then, try to do some more research if you don't understand the markets, okay? Hold on, I'm loading up my phone. Try to do some more research if you don't understand the markets, okay? Try to keep God grounded. Try to build that relationship with God, man. Build that relationship with God, my brother, my sister in Christ. Build it, because He's waiting on you. He's waiting on you to come back home. He created you and me. Before we was in our mama womb, He knew you by name, okay? So go ahead and come on back home. Come on back home to the good side so life could be good, and you don't have to move through this world lost, searching for a purpose, hurting, spiritually lost, fighting what you fighting. You don't have to do that alone. You could do that with the Lord, okay? So let's go ahead and pray out of this, and we're going to go ahead and do what we're going to do. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. All right. So I appreciate everybody that tuned in live. We had a lot of concurrent viewers today post Super Bowl. I'm very appreciative of that. If you're watching this video after the fact, I appreciate you just as much. Keep God first. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment on what kind of videos y'all want me to make. I just go off of what I'm led to do. That's why I'm not posting videos every day. Once something comes into my spirit, that's just what I make. Okay, and I'm just being obedient. So to everyone that's watching, I pray y'all have a blessed week. We'll be right back here, this same spot, next Sunday, giving all glory to God, all honor to God, all thanks to God, because to His name be the glory. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a blessed week.